Hey everybody, Anthony here, FSU Off-Road. Welcome back to another video. If this is your first time joining us, go ahead, take 2 seconds, hit the subscribe button. Because today we're going back to the basics on our 4800 build and getting our drive lines and drivetrain all installed. Let's get to it. If you've been following along, you know that we originally pulled a 5.3 from the junkyard to kind of get things mocked up, and in the end result, it kind of interfered with our upper travel suspension with the front axle. Since then, I've been working really hard, got the front axle taken care of, trussed, got it all mocked up where it needs to be, double shear brackets, you name it, it's done. As you can see here behind me. With that being said, you can also see that there's not a motor, or an engine rather, in the engine bay. The only thing that's hanging out is our transmission. So today, in this video, we got to get our new motor put in there. And you might be wondering, a new motor? That is correct. We have a new, well, not a new, but new to us, LS1 all aluminum 5.7. One reason why we wanted to go this route is because of the aluminum block. Save us some weight. Two, a little bit higher displacement than the 5.3. Basically the same horsepower as the 6.0 stock. So we're going to build it up a little bit. That's for another video, not this video. But with our Turbo 400, and along with that, behind me on this other table, we have our Colossus Dana 300 case with 32 spline input and output shafts. That's going to be the transfer case that we're using. And today, specifically, we're trying to get all that drivetrain installed in the chassis, as well as getting motor mounts established, transmission mount, and yes, even a transfer case mount. So we have a lot to do. As I mentioned, when we originally put the motor in, it was just kind of for mock-up purposes. It was close, but it wasn't exactly where we needed it because it limited our up travel. We needed to get 3 more inches of up travel out of where the motor mount placement was. So what I'm going to do now to get started on this drivetrain is I'm going to go ahead and put this front axle at full bump. That way we know exactly where things are going to line up. And then I'm going to get our new LS1 motor put in here, made it to the transmission. That way we can start mocking up our front engine mounts.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 yo, go.
Now that we're back to basically where we were with the LS1, the transmission kind of just sitting here on some blocks, and the motor I just have with this bar running across with a ratchet strap. That way we can fine tweak it, get it centered, push it back, forward, whatever we need to do to get these motor mounts adjusted. Now, before we start working on the motor mounts, what I'm going to do is I'm going to work my way from the front to the back. But there's one thing missing, and that's our transfer case. So the last thing I have to do now that we've got the motor transmission mounted together, I got to get the transfer case mounted together, and we'll get that put on here. I'm not going to build it. We'll wait for a future video for that, so stay tuned for that. But I'm going to get it installed on the end of our transmission here. That way we can see where our rear output's going to be. That way we can adjust the whole drive line that way. Drive train that way rather. All right, now the fun's gonna begin. We got the transfer case in here. Like I said, it's just an empty case right now, and I just put the yoke on there just for drive line, drive train, all this mock-up purposes. So it's all connected. Definitely gonna have to do some adjusting with the height of everything. This needs to be lower, this needs to be higher. So that's what we're gonna do now. We're just gonna fine tweak everything to where we get it to where we want it, and then we can go over where we're going to mount our carrier bearing, where we're going to put our mounts, as well as the new TMR Customs. This kind of mounts around the JB conversion housing there. So it came out just in time for us to utilize it in our build. So I'm not mad about it because that saves me time from having to fab one up. With all that being said, it's time to start getting everything aligned, height wise, center to center, straightness, and actually I'm gonna put some headers on here as well. I got some headers to put on here to make sure we're gonna have clearances as well, so I kind of want to incorporate that with this drivetrain drive line assembly process. Now that we've finalized final measurements, got everything level, got the motor level, got it the right angle that we want it, our transfer case is roughly 6 degrees on a tilt, our rear axle is roughly 7, so that's perfect for the drive line. Now the next thing that I want to do is get these motor mounts installed. Well, whenever we mocked it up before, I just went ahead and kind of built some motor mounts, and obviously our upper link is in the way. So what I'm going to do is, instead of cutting this off, starting from scratch, I'm going to use this piece as the bottom that's going to go down to the oil pan skid plate that we're going to build. And I'm just going to utilize these, just let this tube hang down, and then I'll get it kind of mounted up here, and then we'll build our new pieces of tubing from the chassis. I'm going to include this bar going one down kind of at an angle here to keep it from jarring up and down, and then I'm going to put another bar at an angle for triangulation and put it this way, that way it's out of the way for lateral support, and that should be plenty, especially since it's going to be tied down on the bottom as well.
Hustle every single day. I'll be making moves till I'm buried in my grave. To the system, I don't wanna be a slave. I've been doing shit my way, or the highway. And in the driveway is a nice range, cause I grind through the climb, I invite pain. You'll never hear me, bitch, nah, I don't complain. Just gotta flip the switch and you can go and obtain anything you want, anything you need. Your mind's got the key ingredient, it's belief.
Bring you guys in here and you can see what I was talking about, how we did our initial motor mount from the chassis up here, and then we did a secondary one creating a V in the straight, and then we just used the old existing one that'll run down to an oil pan. Went ahead and put the support bar on the front here, and it's dead nut centered, and it's nice and level. I did have to tweak this out a little bit with the jack, but got this side in and welded as well. Everything is nice and square. Now we can take this off and start working on our oil pan skid plate underneath. Not super important to this video, however, I'm going to utilize our downward tubes and run it back, and once I get this all done, I'm going to be using these TMR clamps. And the reason why I like the TMR clamps better than a lot of them on the market is because they just use an Allen bolt with a nut, so if you strip it out or anything like that, you don't have to drill and retap, so it kind of makes it a little bit nicer, and once they wear out or whatever, you can replace them. But we're going to put 2 clamps on the back there, 2 clamps somewhere on these down tubes there, build us a nice skid plate here to protect our oil pan. And once I get done with that, I'll show you what we come up with. And
with the negativity, but I just slide right by that energy. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go. You got a mind, but even that could change. You could flip the gray matter like some batter in your brain. That's why I say, fake it till you make it A. And if you play that game, then you just might make a change.
Alright, as you saw, hopefully you enjoyed that little bit. Went ahead and got our skid plate all installed here with the lower pan. countersunk all of them. That way it's nice and secured in there. Now, reason why I did that is to get an estimate of where our carrier bearing is going to go. So now that we've got our motor mounts installed, going down there, got the clearance that we need for that. We've got our oil pan skid plate installed. We can figure out where the carrier bearing is going to go. Now it's time to continue to mosey on back to our transmission and transfer case. Now back here on the transfer case, I'm going to do this mount first because unfortunately our mount for the 300 does not have a mounting solution, so we're going to have to come up with that one. So since this one's a little bit easier, basically this is the TMR Dana 300 output for the JB conversion housing, and kind of see how it's going to fit and get mounted up to the chassis there. And since we're not hard mounting this, we're going to use poly bushings. What we'll do is we'll cut these down and cut some of that off. That way it'll all match up. We can just weld that bottom piece to this, and this will be nice and centered and square.
Rearrange all the bad to okay. Take the worst thoughts saying, turn them to a game. Take the best thoughts saying, put them on display. On repeat in your brain till you're feeling no more pain. Never slow yourself down, you can do some more. Push past all the pain and you'll find a door. Open it up and finally explore everything that you thought you could never do before.
Now that we got our Dana 300 mount in here, it's time to take this out and focus on the transmission mount. And I say that one for last because we're going to do something special. Not 100% sure what we're going to do yet, but we'll figure it out once we get this out of there. Now that we're down here, I wanted to show you the issues that we're having. So this is the tail end of the 400, and this is our adapter piece. And as you see, there's no way to adapt the transmission to the chassis. So been doing a little research, kind of paused what I was doing yesterday when I removed the transfer case out, and I think I'm going to go a different route, get a different adapter that has a mount incorporated with it, and reached out to Novak adapters. Novak Conversions is what it is, and they sell an adapter from a GM Turbo 400 to a Dana 300, which is what we need. But in order to continue to move forward with this process while we wait on that to come, I went ahead and opened up our tabs, because how I'm still going to utilize our transmission mount. I'm going to go ahead and get our Dana 300 back installed. That way I can start working on this carrier bearing right here. Basically what this is going to do is it's going to take a small drive shaft from the yoke of the transfer case, little slip yoke, to the carrier bearing, and then you'll be able to use a front drive shaft from the front of the carrier bearing to the front axle. Now, the way this one is designed, it's a multiple piece process. Basically, you've got two thrust bearings in it with a shaft, and this is from TMR Custom, but they also have a mounting kit bracket that we're going to utilize this as well. As you can see here, this will weld to the chassis, and then these will weld to the actual unit bearing or carrier bearing like this. And then once you install this, you'll just be able to bolt it in place like so with these grade 8 bolts. So now we just got to get the ideal, well, I'm going to say ideal, but what we need to do is we need to set it in here and get the approximate place where we're going to put it. Like I said, there'll be some fine-tune adjustments that need to be made once we get our third member in there, but as long as I can get it kind of mocked up and installed, I can kind of get an idea of how everything's going to lay out and if anything's going to bind. I think we're good, but just in case.
And even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.
Alright, just finished internally gusseting the carrier bearing here, as well as on the bottom side. I put a wraparound plate, and I can weld all that up to strengthen that just a little bit more. So I think this is going to work out great. I've got to do a little bit more welding on it and do a full weld on the whole chassis, so I'll do that later. Not worried about that now, but this will allow me to at least get final measurements, drive shafts and stuff like that in once we get our third members in. So I can't, kind of puts me at a standstill for now, kind of at least with the drivetrain driveline portion. Looks like Novak Adapters is going to save the day. Like I said, they do a very similar Turbo 400 to Dana 300 adapter, but this adapter has the mount on the bottom, which is what we need for our 300. So let's get this installed now. But the good thing about this Novak conversion kit is it also comes with the input shaft for 32 spline for the Turbo 400. Now they have multiple options. They can do different input shafts for this, but since we're going to be running a bigger 32 spline anyways, I wanted to just go ahead and utilize that for strength purposes on our drivetrain. And one of the other reasons why I like the Novak, aside from the mounting bracket, it does come with an internal seal to keep the transmission and the transfer case sealed separately, which I do like. So now we just got to get this mounted up here and kind of get it figured out how we're going to get it mounted and secured using our transmission mount bracket that we're going to set up here on our cross member on the bottom. Just wanted to bring you in here with the transmission mount installed. As you see there, it is actually bolted to the adapter. It's got everything positioned where it needs to be. Now everything is nice and secure. Motor mounts, transmission mount, transfer case, so we don't have to worry about that. So Novak adapters for the win on this one. If you got any conversion needs, check out Novak adapters. Pretty happy with the way things are turning out. We still got a long ways to go, so make sure you subscribe if you haven't already, because we have a motor to build, we've got a transmission to build, transfer case to build, we have additional skid plates, we've got electrical to do, we've got lights and fuel system, and you name it, we still got to do it, and time's winding down. So we're definitely going to make fast pace of these videos moving forward, and you know, just bring as much content to you as possible in the short time frame that we have. So make sure you hit the notification bell. That'll just inform you of when we upload new videos. Make sure you're sharing the videos and liking the videos. It kind of helps with the channel growth. And yeah, make sure you do all those things. Make sure you stay tuned, because we've got a lot going on here, and race time's coming, and the end is in sight.